Welcome, Nodies. We are thrilled to have you join us today for another of our Node Career Chats. These chats are a great opportunity for you to get to know different employers and industries around the world. As you listen to the chat, to executive financial institutions for Standard Chartered in East Africa. Jackton, we welcome you to our career chat today. Could you please tell us a little bit about your background?
Thank you, Scott. Notice my name is Jackton Konyango. I work for Standard Chartered Bank Kenya Limited. I graduated from the University of Nairobi with honors in Bachelor of Commerce Marketing in 1999. Worked with two other organizations for about 1.5 years before I joined Standard Chartered in 2001, and I have worked in different positions, starting from the retail side of the bank, and for the last 13 years also I've been working with the corporate side of the bank. I joined corporate side as an assistant relationship manager and has since risen to the position of executive director and head of financial institutions over the last 7 years. I'm currently responsible for providing leadership in deal origination and coverage of new and existing financial institutions and public sector development organizations within acceptable risk profiles in the East Africa region. I am also a key member of the country leadership team for Kenya and East Africa.
Great, thank you. You have quite an interesting background. I think my introduction was cut off a little bit, so let me just also remind our listeners that if you have questions, you can type them in the chat window in your bottom left-hand side of the screen, and we'll get to those questions a little bit later. Jackton Konyango, again from Standard Charter, just gave a little introduction about himself. Jackton, could you tell us a little bit about Standard Chartered and what it is in the industry?
All right, so let me start with a brief of the industry, and the industry is a banking industry. We can't talk about banking without referring back to the 2008 global financial crisis that all of you may have read about or were around to experience. It brought out the worst in banking, and as a result, we've seen lots of changes in compliance and capital requirements for banks to avoid a repetition of such. However, that has also come up with alternatives, and alternatives in the sense that banks have come up with new capital requirements that have enhanced job opportunities. Banks have also come up with new regulations that have also seen expansion of job opportunities within the industry. If I may specifically speak about Standard Chartered Bank, we are a global bank, been around for over 150 years, and those years have been spent in almost all the regions that we are based in. We are basically an emerging markets bank, so we focus a lot on Africa, Asia, and the Middle East, and we're also found in parts of North America and South America as well. We have our headquarters based in Europe, with our group CEO sitting in London, plus his top management. We also have various business leaders sitting in Hong Kong and Singapore. We are listed actually in the Hong Kong Stock Exchange and the London Stock Exchange. Standard Chartered Bank globally employs over 75,000 people, representing 125 nationalities in over 70 countries worldwide. We were ranked among top 20 FTSE 100 companies and top 200 of Forbes global ranking of companies, including US corporations. The only major banks to have been upgraded by all three rating agencies since the beginning of the financial crisis. We are just one of those banks by all the three major credit rating agencies.
That's very impressive. Tell us a little bit about what a university graduate needs to do in order to get into the banking industry. What's available for them?
Thank you very much, Scott, for that question. It reflects a lot on me when I was joining the banking industry, and to be honest, I've only worked with one bank since, it's been about 14 years with Standard Chartered Bank now. Over the years, I've learned that a graduate who wants to work in the banking industry needs, to determine their compatibility with banking career options. So you have to be a banker at heart. I will share with you my dreams as a secondary school student. So secondary school basically in this country is the stage you go to after primary school. So you still got some time before you go to university. And I already used to dream of working in a bank. I didn't know what banking was all about, but I used to tell my family, I used to tell my friends that when I grow up, I want to work for a bank. So in a sense, my DNA was already compatible with banking. So what does it take for you to work in a bank like Standard Chartered Bank? First, are you someone who's interested in crunching numbers? If you are, we have a career for you in financial analysis of our clients. Our clients range from retail to corporate to small businesses to medium-sized businesses. But the first main ingredient, if you're a number cruncher, is will you be able to analyze their financials and be able to spread their cash flows and understand what they mean to the business. If you are a salesperson, if you are the person who is good at networking, who is good at speaking to clients and selling products, you have a career as a relationship manager. Standard Chartered Bank and banking in general needs people like you to sell their products and to sell their capabilities. You must be an outgoing person. You must be someone who enjoys facing clients and listening and as well as taking objections, because it's not an easy, it's not a piece of cake telling all those customers out there that your bank is the bank that they should prefer. If you should also spend your time understanding the various areas of the bank and which area will fit you best. You must consider areas that are growing in the bank. I'll give an example of areas that are growing in the banking industry as we speak. One of those is compliance. Of course, the 2008 financial crisis, banks were found to be wanting in compliance and risk management. Those areas have been beefed up in almost each and every international bank. You must identify with risk and compliance and see that it's an area that will provide you with opportune growth to develop in your career in that area. So you need to know which are the areas that are growing so that you can focus in those areas. There are also new capital adequacy rules that have been brought up by various regulators. Those various capital rules have created opportunities for new graduates to join banking. I will just give an example, not of our bank, but of one big global bank that you all may have heard of, JP Morgan. They've planned to spend $4 billion and commit 5,000 extra employees towards compliance. That's a huge opportunity. HSBC also now has 24,000 staff specializing in risk and compliance. You may have read variously of the fines that both those banks have had to pay for lapses in those areas. So you need to identify some of these opportunities and place yourself in good positions to be employed in those areas.
So with all of those new jobs that are being made out there, what are some of the career opportunities specifically for graduates?
So graduates have got, the bank is big. So as we have got, I can go through a few of the categories. We've got commercial clients. Commercial clients are small and medium-sized business enterprises. Depending on the country, they're classified as per their annual sales turnover. So we can talk of Kenya, where I'm based, as clients that have a sales turnover of $40 million and below per annum. There are a lot of opportunities in commercial client segments. There are corporate and institutional clients and corporate finance segments. Those are the big clients. Most of them are multi-bank, so chances are they won't just bank with Standard Chartered Bank or JP Morgan or Barclays. They are banks with huge funding needs, huge transactional needs, and they are, depending on the countries or regions where they're based, the classification could be a turnover of over $40 million per annum in terms of sales. There are opportunities in transaction banking. Transaction banking basically provides solutions for cash management to clients that pull a lot of liquidity, clients that need to collect from their various sales offices. Banks and Standard Chartered Bank, for that matter, offer huge opportunities within the transaction banking and solution delivery department for young graduates to come and start their careers. Then we have financial markets. This is what forex trading is all about. Forex sales, hedging, interest rate derivatives, and a myriad of products that help clients manage their risk in terms of currency exposure. And I will speak about wealth management, which looks after the high-end individual clients that have got money, a lot of money to put aside for investments, in various products, covering personal financial needs, all the way to their investment opportunities in stocks and bonds, and also in some of the markets that are tax havens like Jersey. So those broad 5 areas provide opportunities for young graduates to work in commercial banks.
Okay.
Now, how do we get there? We've got 3 categories of young graduates that join Standard Chartered Bank, as an example. One is straight to desk. Straight to desk are young graduates who we deem complete products to get into the bank and hit the road running. So they have got skill sets that fit certain job requirements that we've identified and matched with their skills. Then we've got fast track programs, which are basically individuals that we've identified can fit within our retail segment, and we need to move them quickly from entry point to middle management. And then the third one is international graduate programs, which takes care of people like Nodis who have just graduated from various universities. We give them an online exam called that they do. The online exam is basically an aptitude exam. All those who pass the aptitude exam are then given an opportunity for a physical face-to-face interview or phone interview, depending on where they're based. And then during the interview, and depending on how they performed in the psychometric exams, various job opportunities will match to their skill sets, and then they're evaluated for onward recruitment.
Okay, thank you. So with all of that and those jobs and the different things, tell us what kind of specific skills, and this is one of the questions that Nelson's asking as well, or that Anne's asking. What are some of the soft skills? What are some of the actual skills that you're looking for graduates as they come in and to be hired at Standard Chartered?
That's another good question, Scott. I'll give about 5 or 6 of those skills that are required. One of them should be an in-depth product knowledge and ability to relate to the product knowledge to the client needs. So you realize that you have a client who has an overdraft requirement, for instance. If a client has an overdraft requirement, what are the products that fit and those overdraft needs? So you need to match the client requirement to the product. We've got a myriad of products in the bank. We've got hundreds and hundreds of products. You have to be able to master your products and know which ones fit well your client. Then you've got to be able to grasp concepts quickly. Banking can be complex depending on which area you're based in, depending on which products you want to advance to your clients. You have to have the ability to grasp concepts quickly because competition is very, very cutthroat and only the best survive. So at entry point, you must already have that ability to differentiate a complex environment with complex products and a complex client base. Then you have to be innovative. You have to be able to think of opportunities that best fit client requirements. So these are just your own personal creativity that will help you solve the client needs quicker. Then you've got to be resilient. It's a high pressure environment. It's very, very competitive. I think, you can look at your various markets where you're based and count the number of banks that are there, and they're all targeting the same clients. There will be a lot of pressure from clients. There will be a lot of pressure from your managers because at the end of the day, we all have to meet your revenue targets. So you have to be resilient. You have to be able to work under high pressure. Then there's the big and most important issue of ethical standards. What's your integrity? Are you able to keep client documentation confidentially?
Be right back. There we go. Sorry, we lost you for a minute. Keep going. You were talking about the ethical standards.
You will be exposed to a lot of client data. You will know, you've heard of customer due diligence or know your customer. Customers basically are required to provide a lot of information about themselves, their shareholding. You have to break down their shareholding to less than 10%. Less than 10% might take you to individual owners. Individual owners could be people who are highly placed in the society. They will give you their personal documentation. Are you well ethically placed to keep that information to yourself? Because you can use it out of the banking environment and expose the bank to reputational risk. So you have to be very, very ethical, very high integrity. And the last of them is excellent analytical skills. This is not just financial analysis. This is data analysis. This is information breaking down of information as provided by the client. You have to be able to accurately analyze information that you get from the client.
Those are great soft skills. At Node, we spend a lot of time working with our students, teaching them how to communicate, how to work together, and follows along many of those skills. We appreciate if you've just joined us. We've been listening to Jackton Konyango from Standard Chartered in Nairobi, Kenya, and we're now moving into question and answer section. If you have other questions to ask, go ahead and type them in the chat window. We have a couple here. I think we just answered the first one. Which are the soft skills you're looking for? And also Nelson was asking. Well, let's ask this question. Nelson, thank you, Mr. Konyango, for such an elaborate motivation. My question is: does Standard Chartered work with undergraduates, and if so, which positions can they fit in? Want to answer that?
Thank you, Nelson, for your question. Yes, Standard Chartered works with undergraduates. I mean, we all joined as undergraduates. I mean, that's the requirement in this country as an undergraduate is your first degree, I guess. So all of us, we work with undergraduates, and there are many positions available for you, Nelson, in Standard Chartered Bank. I may not spend all the time, I could talk for the whole day, but I could just point you to one place, just one portal. Go into our website, Standard Chartered Bank Kenya, and click and look at the positions that are available for you. Aside from that, I can cover a few. You can work in our financial markets department and be a dealer, for instance. So you will be trading currencies, converting dollars to euros, euros to dollars, euros to local currency, and dealing within the G3 currencies. That's an opportunity for you. You can join our compliance department and look at the various the regulatory framework and whether our dealings with our clients match what our regulators are asking for. Our regulators' requirements are articulated within the prudential guidelines provided by the central bank. you can fit very well in a compliance department. You can be an analyst at Standard Chartered Bank, and by being an analyst, you don't have to work in one business. An analyst can apply across all the business segments. Business segments here are retail, wealth management, corporate and institutional clients. You can name it. So there are many opportunities. You can work in one of our branches as a teller, for instance. So you can be one of those receiving cash deposits from our clients, taking on withdrawals from our clients. You can be a customer service manager, managing the floor, looking at the movement of clients. And those positions graduate, and there are so many development opportunities for you. It just depends on where you start. Nelson, I hope that answers your question. But for more details, kindly visit our website and narrow in on Kenya. You will see all the opportunities articulated there. And actually, we do advertise a lot on that, so please take the opportunities.
Okay, there was a question earlier on here. The first one on the list was from George. I like to work with people. Is there a position besides the retail bank where you work with people?
What was the name of the person who asked the question? John. Yes, in all of the departments, you work with people. I would like to specifically understand what you mean by working with people in this particular case, so that I don't give you a generic answer. But yes, you work with people. Do you mean corporate affairs? Because that's one area where you will work with all the other colleagues in the bank.
Okay.
So maybe George will be a little bit more specific on what he means by people, so that we can answer him correctly.
Okay. While we're waiting for him, let's look at a couple of others here. Anne, how does your company manage the international career and mobility? Are there opportunities to move from one place to another internationally, and are you working with people in different countries in your job?
Thank you, Anne, for that question. If I may give myself as an example, in the last 14 years, I've worked in about 7 markets across Africa, Asia, Middle East, and Europe. So Standard Chartered Bank is well known in the markets that they operate in as one of the best trainers of bankers. And the opportunities for training are very transparent. And that there are so many training opportunities at each level that sometimes you get tired of training and you feel like you need to work. So yes, we are very, very open with mobility, and it's just you as the employee who's joining Standard Chartered Bank that will have to choose where you want to be. In 2005, I chose to work in Dubai. I'd never been to Middle East. I did 6 months there and enjoyed myself thoroughly. In 2006, I chose to work in Beijing. To work in Beijing, you need to learn Mandarin. And it was quite an experience for me. 6 months working in Beijing, learning the language. By the time I came back, I didn't just have the knowledge, I also had the language. So yes, we are the best trainers in the market, and we are the most open in terms of international mobility.
That's great. And that's a great question to end on. I think that the ability and the opportunities to work internationally are fantastic. And your experience of being able to work in different countries is great. We thank you, Jackton, for taking time to chat with us today. It's been very interesting. This is going to be recorded, so the noties can go back and listen to it. Noties, thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for our upcoming chats. We have very many more interesting businesses scheduled to share with you. You can go to our Facebook page for information about future career chats. To discover your fast track to employability, visit our website at www.node.net/study of Node. We thank you and hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you, Jackton.